Well, President-elect Trump is in office already, and he's already affecting the border problem. He announced that he was going to put 25% tariffs on anything coming from Mexico or Canada unless they secured their borders, basically stop allowing these floods of people to come in, and to stop the drug trafficking too. So, of course, Canada just snubbed the whole thing. And, oh, we'll do that back to you. But Mexico is going to do it. I mean, Mexico is a lot invested in this. And I'm sure they've wanted to do this anyway, but maybe they lack the will sometimes to do it, because all they have to do is close the southern border, and none of the people from these other countries can come up through Mexico and walk into the U.S. basically, or sneak in, whatever. And they must take a toll on Mexico, all these people going through it. And once people realize that they're not going to be rewarded with this, with a free lunch when they get here and perhaps send back, they just will stop coming. And this idea of stopping drug trafficking and specific emphasis on fentanyl is it's really a good thing too, I think. Right now, and they're going to put a tariff, I think he said extra 10% on China, because they're supplying the raw chemicals that go to the cartels in Mexico that make the drugs that come into the U.S., like fentanyl and things like that. Technically, they aren't drugs when they're being shipped, but they're turned into these extremely potent and dangerous drugs by labs in Mexico, and then the stuff is sneaked in. And so, I don't know, I think it's good it's had this effect. You just cut down the unbelievable number of people that are coming into the U.S. that are unvetted. We have these cases, so many cases, where someone comes in the U.S., they do a really violent crime, like rape someone, and they get let go in kind of the court system, and it's like they're captured again and they've done it again. And, that just can't go on. So, and now the sanctuary cities are saying, oh, we're not going to cooperate. And of course, Trump says, oh, we'll cut off your funding. But what's really going to happen is these states are going to be begging the government to help, because wherever these people are, they estimate there's between 10 and 14 million illegal aliens in the U.S. And these aren't people that have somehow come here and been asylum seekers or whatever. And all of these people are just going to swarm to those places. And it's like, well, I can't remember one of them now, but let's say Los Angeles is. Can Los Angeles really stand 1 million people showing up on their doorstep? Isn't that going to break things? I mean, finally, New York City realized that they couldn't go on like this. It does break the city with all of these people. And, Texas was busing people into New York City and dropping them. And, it had an effect. And the mayor of New York City was like, ay, we have to stop this. Good plan. So anyway, we have those things that are happening. They're positive. One thing I just wanted to mention, I don't know quite how to phrase this, but it's about lawfare. In other words, instead of warfare, you use lawfare. And the government, Democrats, the government, the establishment, whatever you want to say, has probably spent over $150 million trying to get Trump, try to take him out so he couldn't get to the election, damage him financially, whatever they possibly could do. And, he's basically skated through it. Now, they're saying technically he's a convicted felon, but I would argue that he isn't even a felon, because a lot of those charges were illegally made, the trials weren't right, conflict of interest with so many of the people, the lawyers, the judges. So I would argue that he isn't even that. But with the ruling that they dropped basically all of the charges. There's some small ones still hanging around, but saying that you can't go after a sitting president, and you can't go after him after he's left, because then he could never do his job effectively if he knew that was hanging over his head. So it's kind of an interesting thing, but you see, that actually isn't really good, because the law was so abused. It's kind of given the president a lot of power that he probably shouldn't have. Now, when we look back at the things with Hunter Biden, the laptop, all of the, censoring of free speech, and, the payments and things, and Barista, and the Ukraine, and Hunter Biden, and Biden, the big guy, basically he can't be charged with any of it because of the same sort of thing. This presidential immunity, the Supreme Court let it kind of be vague. So, it kind of depends on who the judges are that you go to and different things like that. But, so what I'm kind of saying is now all the things that Biden did, you can't go after. So it's like when you use things selfishly just to get your own point through, like, oh, we don't want Trump, so we're gonna distort every law. We're gonna try using these laws that apply to something back in 1860 and all these crazy things. You damage the entire legal system if those are brought to trial and there's a conviction of sorts. And so now I guess we just have to live with the fact that a large part of this balance of power, or things about the president, Democrats have ruined, and pretty much ruined it for good, unless somehow a court can go back and scale back and say, wait a second, we're going to further define the things that a president can't be, charged with or convicted of. So that's just my thoughts. Tell me what you think. But I do think it, just the money, like $150 million, the $35 million they spent in Congress, 2 years, people like Adam Schiff lying. He was on one interview with someone once, and he said something, and then the host said, but we know you're a liar. And he was like, just stone-faced. He was going to react, well, we did what, and it was like, no, the host just said, you're a liar. Who's going to believe you? You lied. He lied for 2 years. Everyone knew this whole thing was fabricated by, Democrats paid to have it fabricated. And, again, we've damaged our government and our legal system by trying to make it do what we want it to do rather than what it was designed to do. And it's going to hurt Democrats and Republicans. Bye.